Welcome to the 2021 Cosita Hall of Fame induction ceremony. My name is Trip Durham, and it is my pleasure to be with you tonight as we induct 6 preeminent figures in the world of sports information and communications in the college athletics industry. These 6 have long distinguished themselves as working professionals who have worked really hard on behalf of not only their campuses, their conferences, and their associations, but they have given tireless energy to uphold the values and the mission of CoSIDA. Their names will be listed on plaques inside the Hall of Champions in Indianapolis. That's where we can all remember and reflect upon their contributions to this great industry. At the conclusion of my remarks, after each presentation, the recipients will have a chance to respond themselves and to offer their thoughts about what it has meant to be part of this fantastic industry. So with all of that, let's get started. Now, in a profession that's characterized by long hours and tireless efforts on behalf of others, it would be difficult to find someone who better epitomizes the role of sports information director than Mark Fleming. For the past 24 years, Fleming has been a shining example of excellence in representing his school and his profession. He's provided leadership to CoSIDA for many years, and he currently serves as the chair of the Academic All-America Hall of Fame Committee, and he is a former member of the Academic All-American Core Committee. Fleming has served on CoSIDA Board of Directors and is a former chair of the College Division Management Advisory Committee. In 2013, Fleming was presenting with CoSIDA's Lester Jordan Award for his outstanding work on behalf of CoSIDA's signature program, that is the Academic All-America Awards Program. We welcome our next CoSIDA Hall of Fame inductee, Mark Fleming.
My service on the Academic All-America Hall of Fame Committee actually dates back to, started with the Academic All-America program when I was Bentley with Dick Lipe. He is when women's and men's soccer were broken out of the at-large program, and he needed more district coordinators. So he came over and asked me if I would do it, and I said sure, not a problem. I had seen it before, the ballots and stuff when I was at Edinburgh and East Stroudsburg, and didn't realize that the district he put me in was going to have 114 names. The first ballot I had to type up back in 1996, so it's definitely changed. And then in 2008, Dick asked me if I would move over to take care of coordinating the voting and stuff for the Hall of Fame, and it's just progressed from there. And the Hall of Fame has been tremendous. There are a lot of experiences. I've gotten to meet a lot of people, some famous people, some outstanding professional athletes, and we've also had, as you know, a number of people who aren't professional athletes but have amazing stories that we get to show and tell through the Academic All-America Hall of Fame, and that's just been tremendous. But I think the thing I'll probably remember most about the Hall of Fame program is the chance I had to get to know Dick Enberg through that program. Obviously, we wish Dick was still with us, but the time I did get to spend with him, a few meals here and on the phone and stuff, it was amazing. But it's been like that for everyone I've worked with through the Hall of Fame, and I have a great committee that I work with now, and they all put in a lot of effort, and I can't thank them enough for all the work that they do. The thank yous begin with my wife, Sandy. We've been married since the summer of '98, the end of my first year here at Moravian. And we spent 2 years before our wedding apart. I was at Bentley for a year, and she was down in Virginia. Then I moved here to Moravian, and we were still 5 hours apart. So she's been tremendous through all of this, and given me 2 wonderful sons, Justin and Ryan, who they love what I do. They understand it. I've actually used them to video stream at times, but I've missed a lot of things with them occasionally because of covering games. So I need to say thank you to them. I need to thank my parents, John and Dorothy Fleming. They put up with a lot as well, and they've been always my biggest supporters. And then definitely my 3 mentors, Todd J. from Edinburgh University, who took a chance on a kid in high school, who my dad, working at Edinburgh, thought I might like this profession, and we set up an internship where I left high school early, and Todd showed me the ropes, and then kept me on as a student and then led me to Pete and Evans. Again, I need to thank Pete, and even though he's no longer with us, and his wife Gail, they took me in for a year and helped me, and then passed me off to Dick and Roseanne Leip, who were tremendous. Ed Bentley, I need to thank them, and they've become lifelong friends. For a few years, we would go up to the Cape and spend a week of summer vacation with Dick and Roseanne and their son Brian. And then finally, the coaches and the administration here at Moravian have been tremendous. I mean, there's a reason I've been here for 24 years and haven't really thought about going anywhere else. I'm very happy where I'm at. They've showed me the support and give me the things that I need to do my job to the best of my abilities.
Mark Fleming from Moravian College. With a nod towards her time as a college athletics communicator, it's Rosa Gatti. Throughout her illustrious career, Rosa has been a trailblazer for women in athletics communication at both the college and the corporate levels. Gatti spent 33 years as ESPN's first director of communications. She retired in 2013, concluding her tenure as a senior vice president, and it was Gatti who was instrumental in helping grow the ESPN brand and its drive for diversity, establishing policies and best practices. Now, prior to joining ESPN, Gatti served on the CoSIDA board of directors while at Brown and was the organization's first female in the officer rotation. Gatti has been honored by CoSIDA with many of its highest honors, including the Jake Wade Award, the Keith Jackson Eternal Flame Award, and the Mary Jo Haberback Trailblazer Award. Additionally, it was Gatti who first stepped forward to initiate and continue to maintain ESPN's longtime sponsorship support of CoSIDA.
While I was at ESPN, the most amazing experience was the U.S. had lost the America's Cup for the first time in its, I think, 100-year history. And the event was being held in Australia. And I flew to Australia, the west coast of Australia, and covered that event. And most of the media back home said, this is going to be like watching paint dry, sailboats on the Indian Ocean. Well, it wasn't. It mesmerized the viewers because it was midnight East Coast time, and we were on the Pacific. Well, I think it was, I said Indian, might maybe Pacific. Anyway, it was these rolling waves, and we used this new technology of these, what they called lipstick-sized cameras, peering into the sailors' faces, as they were hoisting the sails. So we covered this and got enormous publicity all across America about these incredible video pieces. Most of the men were accepting. There were some men who didn't think I would make it, and they thought that I would fail or that I would get married and, that would be it. Women in the profession, I've always encouraged them to really believe in themselves. And again, to speak up, that it is possible. There are examples of women in CoSIDA who have children. It's not easy. There are female producers at ESPN who have children. We, as an organization, as companies, as academic institutions, must find better ways to support women in the profession because they bring so much value and perspective. I think COVID has presented a big opportunity for institutions to understand that people can work from home. It is possible. And so if a woman has to get home early with the children or has to go to a soccer game, they are still connected and they can still do their job. What they need is the support, because you know what? Their role as mom is one of the most important jobs in our world. And for those who choose not to have family, another piece of advice I would give is be sure to balance your life. My mistake was I did not balance my life. I was horrible. I went to all the panels about balancing your life. When you're long gone, nobody says how many hours you put in the office. You have to work smart, and you have to leave and say, that's it for today. And I noticed that the men were going to exercise and the men were leaving to go to the kids' game. Something's wrong with this picture. My bosses are leaving early. Why am I still here? We have to find better ways to work and be more efficient. And I think, ironically, COVID is helping maybe solve some of this. When I think of sports information, and it was all about the incredible people who helped me out, supported me, many men to welcome me and help me succeed. And we would pal around together at the conventions, and every year seeing so many at the convention was just rewarding. I learned, so it was an opportunity to recharge the batteries and to learn about other techniques that SIDs were using. I really insisted on going to all the panels. Others would say, come on, Rosa, let's cut out, let's go have a drink at the bar. And I said, no, I got to catch this last panel. I would take notes. I learned so much. It's the memories of all the wonderful people whom I met. And I remember one time, I think it was early ESPN when I was traveling around to different events, that it dawned on me that if I ever had a problem, we didn't have cell phones back in those early years of ESPN. If I had a problem in a city, in a town, somewhere in the country, I knew that I could call on a sports information director and they would help me out. And that was incredible. The network of people that even if they didn't know me, I could call them and say I was a fellow SID and could you help me?
Congratulations to our next Hall of Fame inductee, Rosa Gatti. Unselfish dedication and leadership at the NCAA Division II level, and a passion for his school, his job, and his profession, these are among the characteristics that define the impressive career of our next Hall of Fame recipient. For more than 30 years, John Keane has served as SID at Missouri S&T. He's also responsible for developing and maintaining the Division II men's basketball website, the Bible of Division II basketball, and home for information about the division since 1996. Kean also served as a liaison with the National Association of Basketball Coaches Division II men's basketball poll. He did that for 17 years. He is currently serving on the CoSIDA Board of Directors as a college division representative and is a former president of D2 SIDA. We welcome CoSIDA Hall of Famer John Keane.
I think one thing I was certainly happy for was when I was been part of the board here for the last 3 years, the CoSIDA board, and getting asked to be part of the working groups with that organization. I know we've made a big stride this year with the development of the new executive board. That was about a year-long process. We put it into play, to a vote in 2020, and it passed, very strongly within our organization. I certainly feel a little pride in, having a part in that process. And I think it's certainly something I think it really is going to be very beneficial to our organization going forward. But because I think it really gives more voice to the various groups, divisions 2 and 3, and the NAIA and the Canadian schools, and really streamlines the process, whereas more of a direct line from the groups themselves to the top of the chart there. So I think certainly having a hand in that, like I said earlier, with with her running that project and all that, I think it's certainly going to be very very good for our organization going forward. Well, I think in Division II, I think we realized Roy's going to be kind of in the shadows of the Power Fives, the Autonomy Fives, whatever you want to call them, other Division I schools in terms of our exposure and our coverage and such. But I think we have to make the most of what we have out there for us. And I think one thing that's really helped us, I think we can certainly thank a lot of conference offices for this in Division II, is the development of the online networks. You see, our conference, for instance, was one of the first ones to develop a network for online games or whatever events, whatever it might be. And I think you certainly got to give a lot of credit to them for developing it and taking it down that road. Now, that's the one thing that really could put us as par with everybody else. Now that we have our games out there for everybody to see. Now, our games are going to be on ESPN, but they'll be out there for everyone to see on the internet. It might be an ESPN3, it might be through that conference's network, or GWCSN, for instance. So certainly, it does create its own challenges, but at the same time, I think that's one thing that's put us now on a par with everybody else. And I think the other big challenge, it's not just a Division II challenge, I think it is for all levels, is obviously getting adequate staffing for everything. I think that's something I know I've been working a little bit with Sam on a working group to kind of work towards, trying to find get the staffing correct for every school with the number of sports, especially when schools adding sports. And, staffing just not being able to cover everything as well as you'd like. And I think that's one of the challenges we've had along the way. And I think I can go back even to, talking earlier about memorable things, actually getting to work on some groups and working with the new executive board, working group and all that with Herb and a number of, Hall of Famers in that group as well. But I think the one that we're working on right now with Sam, we had to kind of put it on hold when the pandemic came around. But I think one of the things we are certainly looking into is, creating a model to what is an adequate staffing setup for every school out there, based on your number of sports and such.
From Missouri S&T, John Keane. To say Chris Plonsky has significantly impacted her school, the communications profession, and the landscape of college athletics, well, that would be an understatement. This multi-honored women's sports pioneer has been recognized among her peers as one of the most influential administrators in college athletics. She just concluded her 32nd year at the University of Texas, where she serves as Executive Senior Associate Athletics Director and Chief of Staff for the Longhorns. Prior to her tenure at Texas, Plonsky worked in the communications offices at Iowa State and the Big East Conference. A recent recipient of CoSIDA's Mary Jo Haberback Trailblazer Award, Plonsky was named the Women Leaders in College Sports Administrator of the Year in 2014. She is a USA Basketball Board member, a USOC Collegiate Advisory Council member, and an Emeritus Board member of the National Football Foundation and College Football Hall of Fame. Plonsky is also the past president of NACDA, NACMA, and Women Leaders in College Sports. She is a past member of the Lead One Board, and she served on the NCAA committees for academic performance, women's basketball competition, and NCAA commercialization. She chaired the NCAA Division I Management Council in 2003 and will begin her tenure on the NCAA's Division I Women's Volleyball Committee this year. Today, she can add another award to that trophy case. She is now a Hall of Famer for CoSIDA.
Well, it's hard for athletic communicators not to note memorable times because that's really what we do. We're the chroniclers, the fortunate chroniclers of things that go on in this wonderful industry we're so lucky to work in. I mean, there's nothing like working on a college campus, number one. You're around young people, 17 to 23-year-olds typically, who are in just the most marvelous time of their lives. They're trying to figure out who they are. And so memorable moments really revolve around them and the people that I've identified them to come to these campuses that we're fortunate to work on. There's nothing more rewarding than to see someone develop and grow, not only as a competitor, but as a person, a leader. And then years later, have them come back and say thank you and to remember the times that they had on the campus that led them to be able to live their lives fully and successfully. I have one great story of a former track student athlete here. She was an Olympian. Her name is Mishami Robinson, and I had not seen her for a long time. And I had my head down one day in my office after I'd returned to Texas in the early 90s. And I heard this knock on the door, and I popped up, and she was standing in the doorway, and she said, "Hi, I'm on my way over to thank the academic advisor who helped me here too." She said, "But I just want to thank all of you for structure, because I'm so much better at my life than if I had not had structure, and you all gave me structure while I was here." It's just those kind of spontaneous moments that, you sit back and go, makes it worthwhile. Really, I would have told my younger self to do the same thing he did. again, remember, eras are important. And what I find so refreshing about talking with young people who are pursuing their passion and wanting to be involved in athletics of some sort, whether it's communications or not, is, pay attention to the environment in which you're in and the landscape in which you're operating. At the time that I was breaking in, I paid attention to, again, I was young. I was a sophomore in college, and walking into an office where there were already dedicated professionals, Tom Boshenik, Dick Sapera, Ken Plonsky, by the way, with an I. I mean, he had the same name I did with a vowel difference on the end. Ken was our radio guy. And then, of course, Terry Barnard and Rose Fothauer at Kent. I mean, I just watched these people work around the clock and did what they did. So a younger person needs to take advantage of the opportunities. It was my wonderful coach and women's AD at Kent, Judy Devine, said, walk up to that hill, go to Morrill Hall. There's a guy in there, and I want you to start being a student assistant in the SID office. If you're a journalism major, this is part of your resume building, and we need somebody to start keeping track of our women's athletics events, stats, etc. That's how simple the start was. But I knew this when I walked through that door, there wasn't going to be like a maybe opportunity. This wasn't a maybe job. So it's applying yourself. You are your own publicist and you control your own media. I think that's how victorious CoSIDA and its membership have been over these decades and decades, because they've succeeded when a lot of folks thought, maybe it's not quite as growing a opportunity in athletics. I think the inverse of that. It is more important than ever before.
From the University of Texas, Chris Plonsky. For nearly 3 decades, Herb Vincent has served his profession with great dignity and excellence. He's also clearly distinguished himself as one of the best in the profession. Vincent has served as Associate Commissioner for Communications at the SEC since 2013, where he is responsible for all communication strategies of the conference. He previously worked more than 20 years at LSU. Vincent served as an officer on the CoSIDA Board of Directors and ascended to CoSIDA President during the 2019-20 academic year, where, among accomplishments, he chaired a working group that developed a new governance structure for CoSIDA. He received the 2019 Arch Ward Award, given for outstanding contributions to the profession. In 2015, Vincent was named to the LSU Alumni Hall of Distinction. And in 2020, Vincent was inducted into the LSU Manship School of Mass Communication Hall of Fame. He is also the author of one book on LSU football. CoSIDA is proud to welcome Herb Vincent to the 2021 Hall of Fame class.
Some of my more memorable moments as an athletics communicator, I think most of them came during my career at LSU, because they're some of the more memorable moments in LSU history. I was on the field right behind the end zone, the winning touchdown on what was called the Earthquake game in 1988. It's kind of legendary at LSU and in the SEC for the touchdown and the roar of the crowd registered on an earthquake meter on campus, and so it's long been called the Earthquake game. I was right behind the end zone when that happened. I was right behind home plate when Warren Morris hit a home run in the bottom of the 9th inning in 1996 to win the College World Series. It's the only time that a player's walked off the College World Series with a home run. So I think those two probably the most memorable, because they're some of the most memorable in the history of that school, and I was there and close by for both of them. I think a challenge for CoSIDA in the coming years is to engage everyone who's involved in communicating externally with their universities, with their conference offices, with their organizations. That includes the digital media folks, photographers, everyone associated with social media. There's so many different ways now that we communicate. You know, early on it used to be newspapers, newspaper television, newspaper TV, radio. There's so many other avenues now how we communicate externally. And all those people need to be under the CoSIDA umbrella. We need to be able to, if we're really gonna be strategic, you have to have all those strategic tools at your benefit. And so we need to bring more people into the organization. They need to understand, we need to grow the umbrella of CoSIDA and bring more of those folks in and us learn from them about what the future of communications is. You know, it's hard to narrow down when you start to figure out who you want to thank for a career that's been designated as one worthy of a Hall of Fame. I have to start with my parents because they were so supportive of me in everything I did from the time I started getting interested in sports and then getting interested in this business. They supported me every step of the way and everything I wanted to do. Never questioned me, but always supported me. And of course, my wife and daughter, because everyone knows the sacrifices a family has to make, the time that's involved in this kind of profession, and the understanding that your family has to have. And my wife and daughter have not only understood it, they've embraced it, and they're sports fans. They understand what I do. They enjoy the business. They enjoy sports. Professionally, if I can take a minute and just add two more folks. One is Paul Manassa. He was a Cosita Hall of Famer. I think he was inducted in maybe 1978. He gave me my very first job in this profession when I was at LSU as a student worker. And then Joe Dean, who was athletics director at LSU in 1988, maybe the sports information director at LSU at the age of 27, probably at a time that I really had no business getting a job of this magnitude, but he had trust in me, and he really helped me and helped me with my career. So I think professionally, those two folks really moved along my career.
From the Southeastern Conference, Herb Vincent. Chris Wenzler, who had a storied SID career at his alma mater, John Carroll, was a beloved figure in both his profession and his community. He is being honored tonight, posthumously. Just 4 months after his graduation in 1990 from John Carroll, Wensler was named the athletic department's sports information director. He stayed at his alma mater throughout his illustrious and impactful career. In 2008, Wensler was given additional responsibilities as John Carroll's first assistant athletics director for communications. Wensler passed away June 23, 2020, following a 2.5-year battle with multiple myeloma. He was elected to the JCU Athletic Hall of Fame in 2019. A Bob Kenworthy Community Service Award recipient, Wensler was known for his extensive international and local community service. He was involved with on-campus service days and numerous community charitable events. Wensler joined the immersion trips as a staff member at John Carroll, including visits to Jamaica, Ecuador, and Guatemala. On campus, he spearheaded Streaks to the Max in partnership with Max Cure Foundation. We are deeply proud to welcome Chris to the Cosita Hall of Fame, and speaking on his behalf is his wife, Melissa Wenzler.
Chris's favorite part of being a sports information director, SID, was really promoting the student athletes. He really took to heart at a Division III level, these students are playing their sport for the love of the game. There's no, they're not going on to the NFL or any professional level most of the time. So this collegiate experience was going to be the highlight, and he really always just wanted to make sure that he promoted them and their achievements and their accomplishments to the highest level possible. Also, part of his favorite part of the job was mentoring students. He loved connecting with students. He loved being able to help them figure out their passion, figure out their way in life. And a lot of times he employed students that weren't even interested in sports as a career. He had students working in his office that were accounting majors, finance majors, but they were students that liked to be around sports. Yeah, the sports information director family, particularly in the OAC, is a really tight-knit group. They would oftentimes, they have their yearly meetings and they would do golf outings afterwards. So they enjoyed each other outside of the work. I think at the time, Chris was the longest tenured sports information director in the conference. So I know that they looked up to him not only for his expertise, but, as a friend. So when he did pass away, they were amazingly supportive. They made a trip up to come and visit myself and our children. Throughout Chris's illness, they would constantly be posting words of encouragement. Adam Prescott at Otterbein, actually back in 2018, he and his assistant, who worked for Chris when he was an undergrad, shaved their heads in solidarity after Chris had his stem cell transplant and lost his hair. So, and then there's, Lenny. Lenny is instrumental in CoSIDA, and he's been instrumental in, making sure that Chris gets the recognition that he has been receiving so far. So, they're amazing. They've been wonderfully supportive. They're like a second family for us. And you just become a tight-knit group. You work those long, grueling hours, oftentimes away from family. So it's just nice to know that they're kind of, like I said, a second family for us. Chris's thoughts about being inducted into the Cosita Hall of Fame, I think secretly he would have loved it. He was never the type of person that did what he did to be the center of attention. He never, wanted the accolades. There's a lot of people that he would like to thank. The former and late Tony DiCarlo, who took a chance on Chris 30 some years ago and hired him right before the sports season started. I know Chris is forever grateful for Tony and the chance that he took. Lori Massa, who was the athletic director after Tony. So many people, Jane Evans, all of the John Carroll coaches, all of the John Carroll student athletes, all of the students who have come through Chris's office. They were his passion, they were his why. He would be extremely humbled by this amazing honor. And, he just, I know he would be really proud.
From John Carroll University, Chris Wenzler. One of the most meaningful honors in someone's career is to be inducted into the National Organization's Hall of Fame. In this case tonight, we have inducted 6 amazing professionals into CoSIDA's Hall of Fame. We congratulate Mark, Rosa, John, Chris Plonsky, Herb, as well as Chris Wenzler and his family. This is such a great honor, not only for the family, but also for us. We've had a chance to lift these folks up, to showcase them, and to tell the world about their amazing contributions. We'd also like to thank members of the Special Awards Committee, including Diane Nordstrom, their chair. They put together a phenomenal class and have done a lot of hard work behind the scenes to make this happen tonight. If you know someone that might be eligible or worthy for induction into a future class, please reach out to members of CoSIDA and nominate these individuals, and we'll see if we can get their special story told in such a grand setting. My name is Trip Durham. We thank you for your attendance here tonight. We hope you are safe and enjoy your summer.